Coming up on Arirang News. After having long been under pressure from fellow Democrats, President Joe Biden abandons his re-election bid and endorses Vice President Kamala Harris to succeed him. For 2 days in a row, the South Korean military has conducted anti-Pyongyang broadcasts through loudspeakers at full scale for the first time in 6 years. This against North Korea's recent filled balloon campaign. Nationwide training hospitals began recruiting trainee doctors for the second half of this year starting Monday, aiming to fill the vacancies of around 7,700 after their resignations have been finalized.
Welcome to the 9 p.m. edition of Arirang News. I'm Kim Bo-kyung. We start with the latest over in the U.S., where President Biden made a surprising political decision overnight. Amid mounting pressure, he announced his dropping out of the 2024 race and endorsed Vice President Harris as his party's nominee. Our Lee Si-woo reports.
U.S. President Joe Biden announced on Sunday that he was ending his re-election bid and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to succeed him. Biden posted a letter to his official campaign account on X stating that he believes it is in the best interest of his party and the country for him to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling his duties as president for the remainder of his term. He added his support and endorsement for Kamala Harris to be the Democrats' new nominee. Biden said he will speak to the nation later this week in more detail. A senior White House official said Biden's decision involved no medical issues. But throughout the 81-year-old candidate's race for re-election, there have been concerns and skepticism about his health and mental condition, especially following the June 27 televised debate against former U.S. President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. At the time of his announcement, Biden was recovering from a COVID-19 diagnosis at his home in Delaware. This marks the first time in over half a century that an incumbent U.S. president eligible for a second term had dropped out of the election race. Trump, who survived an assassination attempt just 8 days ago, reacted to the news, saying Biden should never have been there in the first place. Later Sunday, the Biden-Harris campaign formally changed its committee name to Harris for President. But this does not mean an automatic candidacy transfer to Harris, as the delegates to the Democratic National Convention will have to decide on a candidate of their choice. It's expected the party's nominee will be chosen during the Democratic Convention in Chicago next month or through a virtual roll call soon. Lee Si-woo, Arirang News.
A number of countries reacted to Biden's choice to exit the race. Leaders in Europe in particular say they support and respect his decision. Our Choi Se-young explains.
Amid current U.S. President Joe Biden's withdrawal from the November presidential election, world leaders expressed their respect for his decision. South Korea's presidential office said on Monday it would not comment on the internal politics of other countries, while a presidential official said that Seoul will communicate closely with Washington to further strengthen the bilateral global comprehensive strategic alliance. According to the Kyodo News, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida also mentioned that Biden tried to make the best political decision. He emphasized that the Japan and U.S. alliance is the keystone of Japan's diplomacy and security undoubtedly, and they will monitor the further developments in the upcoming U.S. November election. European leaders also paid tribute to Biden's difficult decision to exit for the best interests of the U.S. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer himself, elected recently, said he looks forward to working with him during his remaining term, adding that he respected Biden's decision and believed he made the best decision for Americans. German Federal Chancellor Olaf Scholz said the U.S. was a trustworthy partner and that Biden's decision to withdraw deserves respect. Prime Minister of Spain Pedro Sanchez paid his respects to Biden on X, stating that thanks to his determination and leadership in fighting for democracy and freedom, the U.S. has overcome the economic crisis post-pandemic and shown great support for Ukraine. Itzhak Herzog, the Israeli president, posted on X to express his heartfelt thanks to Biden for his strong support of Israel and its people throughout his decades-long career. Unlike other countries that have sent respect and support on Biden's decision, Russia has stated that the Ukraine conflict is more important than the U.S. presidential election results. According to TASS news agency, Dmitry Peskov, a Kremlin spokesperson, said they needed to monitor the situation further because there are still 4 months left before the U.S. presidential election. Cheong, Arirang News.
Here on the peninsula, South Korea's military has ramped up its propaganda broadcast campaigns toward the north, as the regime floated more trash-carrying balloons across the border. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung reports.
South Korea's military has been conducting anti-Pyongyang loudspeaker broadcasts on all fronts for the second straight day. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said Monday that the military began broadcasting at 6 a.m. and will continue for about 16 hours until 10 p.m. On Sunday, the military aired anti-Pyongyang loudspeaker broadcasts on all fronts for the first time since the 2018 Inter-Korean military agreement. The South had been partly airing the broadcast at different times in Western, Central, and Eastern fronts. But now, the military is airing full-scale propaganda broadcasts along the entire border. The broadcasts are typically comprised of news and K-pop, but the latest ones reportedly included news on the recent defection of a North Korean diplomat, as well as the killing of North Korean soldiers while laying mines near the border.
We believe our broadcast will have a variety of effects, such as causing internal unrest, defections from North Korea, and also affect discipline.
The military is also planning to operate mobile loudspeakers, which can be quickly operated if North Korea continues to engage in provocations.
On Sunday, fixed loudspeakers were operated on all fronts. Mobile loudspeakers will also be operated in the future.
South Korea's military currently possesses a total of 40 anti-North Korea loudspeakers, including 24 fixed and 16 mobile ones. The military stepped-up campaign comes in response to North Korea's continued deliveries of trash-carrying balloons. On Sunday, North Korea sent another 500 balloons, mostly carrying scraps of paper. Around 240 of them fell in South Korea, mostly in Seoul and North Gyeonggi-do province. This is the 9th round of deliveries sent by the North since May. The regime is presumed to have sent a total of more than 2,000 balloons so far in protest against anti-Pyongyang leaflet campaigns by North Korean defectors in the South. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
South Korea's Defense Minister Shin Won-sik will visit Tokyo this weekend for a trilateral meeting with his counterparts from the U.S. and Japan. He will be joined by U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and Japanese Defense Minister Minoru Kihara on Sunday. They will discuss North Korea's nuclear and missile threats and ways to cooperate on the matter. Also on the agenda is bolstering three-way security cooperation. This meeting is the first to take place in Japan, as the three ministers agreed at the Shangri-La Dialogue in June to rotate on hosting trilateral ministerial meetings. Shin will hold separate bilateral talks with his American and Japanese counterparts. South Korea's Unification Ministry has called on North Korea to refrain from distorting history. In a regular briefing on this Monday, the ministry announced that North Korea was seeking to play victim of the Korean War, which in fact was triggered by the regime's, quote, invasion of the South backed by Soviet and Chinese support. The latest remarks come in response to a recent article by North Korea's Dodong-sinmun that condemned South Korea's military exercises with the U.S., claiming that the drills are in fact continued war invasion exercises against the regime conducted over the past 7 decades. On the international front, Houthi rebels vowed a major retaliation for Israel's earlier strike on a port in Yemen, further escalating tensions in the region amid months of conflict in Gaza. Cha Eun-kyung has more.
Houthi militants vowed revenge attacks on Israel after the latter's fighter jets struck Houthi targets near Yemen's Hodeidah port on Saturday, killing at least 3 people and wounding 87. The leader of the Houthis, Abdul Malik al-Houthi, warned that the airstrike will lead to more attacks on Israel, such as the one on Tel Aviv. Yahya Sari, the spokesperson for the Houthis, said that a huge response against Israel was inevitable. On Sunday, the Israeli military said that it intercepted a missile fired from Yemen after Houthis claimed to have launched ballistic missiles against Eilat, the southernmost city in Israel. Yoav Gallant, the Israeli Minister of Defense, warned of further operations if the Houthis dare to attack Israel. Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs expressed concerns over Israel's airstrike on Hodeidah, which it stated was likely to raise tensions within the area and stop movements to end the war in Gaza. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will send a delegation for hostage deal talks on Thursday, according to Reuters on Sunday local time. A ceasefire effort and hostage negotiations have been led by Qatar and Egypt up to now. Hamas accused Netanyahu of placing obstacles to a truce, as talks on the hostages release have made no progress, regardless of Hamas' attempts this month for further negotiations. In the meantime, U.S. President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will discuss ways to reach a deal on a ceasefire in Gaza and the return of the hostages during their meeting on Tuesday. Cha Yong-kyung, Arirang News.
Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba will visit China from July 23rd to the 26th. The Chinese Foreign Ministry announced on Monday that Kuleba will visit at the invitation of his Foreign Minister Wang Yi. They will reportedly discuss Russia's ongoing war against Ukraine, China's role in achieving just and stable peace, and Ukrainian-Chinese relations. China did not participate in the Ukraine Peace Summit held in Switzerland in June, stating that the conference did not align with their stance that both Russia and Ukraine should be involved and treated equally. Turning to the major medical conflict in the country. Resignations have been processed, and now hospitals are looking to hire new trainee doctors for the latter half of the year to fill the vacuum amid signs of medical professors boycotting. Yeon has the details.
The country's 5 major training hospitals are set to begin hiring around 7,700 trainee doctors starting Monday until the end of the month. The government is recruiting new trainee doctors to minimize the impact of mass resignations in February, when more than 90% of around 13,000 medical interns and residents walked off their jobs. To minimize the impact of the mass resignations, the government continues its push to recruit more medical students, as well as offering a penalty exemption for returning junior doctors.
And while the core steps were similar to the previous regular recruitment process, additional measures have been introduced for this particular occasion, as special immunitative provisions for those returning from the strike. So this provision is designed to help trainee doctors catch up on missed training and qualify for specialist license without being penalized. And as a whole, it aims to ensure a swift return to normal operations in hospitals. And it seems that the government is now encouraging doctors to return by offering favorable conditions for completing their training and earning licenses rather than threatening suspensions or indictments.
In the months-long standoff, doctors have demanded the government revisit a decision to increase medical school quotas, claiming that medical schools will not be able to handle the increased enrollment. But in an effort to address the nationwide issue of doctor shortages, the government has already finalized an admissions quota hike of approximately 1,500 students for medical schools next year. In response to the start of the recruitment drive on Monday, medical professors in protest have warned they'll boycott their training programs by refusing to take part in education and training programs for trainee doctors set to begin their studies in September. Yeon, Arirang News.
As Korea Hydro and nuclear power became the preferred bidder to build nuclear power plants in the Czech Republic, President Yoon is considering sending a special envoy to the Eastern European country. The announcement came on Monday following the president's weekly meeting with his top aides. The special envoy, yet to be chosen, will follow up as the contract finalization for the 24 trillion won or $17.3 billion project is underway and will likely serve as the liaison between the governments of South Korea and the Czech Republic. President Yoon also ordered relevant government agencies to make full efforts to strengthen the nuclear power plant ecosystem in the country. South Korea's exports during the first 20 days of July saw a year-on-year increase of nearly 20% due to the strong demand for semiconductors. According to the Korea Customs Service on Monday, the value of exports rose 18.8% compared to the previous year to $37.1 billion. This was mostly led by outbound shipments of chips rising nearly 60% year-on-year. Semiconductor exports have posted double-digit growth monthly since November last year. If this trend continues, exports in July are expected to record a surplus for the 10th consecutive month. Spending by Koreans while overseas has been strong, especially in contrast to their spending here at home. In fact, when compared to spending by foreign travelers here, Korea saw a tourism deficit of $860 million in the month of May. According to the Bank of Korea, Korea's spent over $2.3 billion while overseas in May, recording an on-year rise of almost 5%. The amount stands in contrast to spending by foreign visitors to the country, the total above $1.4 billion. Against this backdrop, retail sales here in Korea retreated over 3% in May on-year. More passengers here are opting for more affordable domestic airlines for travel overseas. According to the Transport Ministry on this Monday, low-cost domestic airlines such as Jeju Air and Jin Air accounted for over 35% of all passengers heading overseas during the first half of this year. Meanwhile, their bigger counterparts took a smaller portion of the pie at some 33%, while foreign airlines saw 31%. Pundits are linking this trend to the big companies' focus on long-haul flights and on freight transport that allow for greater profits. Short-form platforms are known for their high user engagement. As our Yeon reports, they are rapidly spreading the Korean wave or Hallyu, influencing global audiences.
A window to the entire world. With just a swipe, we can discover content from all around the world.
I'll aim to convey my key message within a 15 to 60-second time frame, reflecting the trend of shrinking attention spans among today's audience. In our fast-paced world, there's a strong preference for short-form media or bite-sized content that is compact and can be quickly consumed. Whether it's entertainment, educational videos, or even news, there is something for everyone.
Industry experts say that there has been a notable rise in content on short-form platforms since the late 2010s. The major platforms include TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. From short viral videos to everyday live content, these videos have reshaped how we consume mainstream culture. They have also become a powerful new tool to promote the Korean wave, especially K-pop.
Short-form platforms have boosted the spread of K-pop content significantly among international users. When a new song drops, it's almost standard practice for artists to create dance challenges or viral trends that fans can easily engage with.
According to TikTok Korea's research, over 50% of its users are open to learning about new cultures. As a leading global short-form platform, viral hashtags influence both creators and users, shaping global trends and driving product purchases. The company refers to this phenomenon as the halo effect.
86% of U.S. consumers and 76% of Southeast Asian consumers became more interested in Korean products and brands through watching content on the platform.
Most importantly, such digital media platforms empower individuals to become ambassadors by spreading content virally.
I believe the most important role of platforms like us is boosting user engagement by providing technical tools and making content creation enjoyable. We plan to continue strengthening these capabilities to further establish a leading platform for setting trends.
A new era of the Korean wave is set to be unfolding. Though short in length, these videos have the power to significantly expand the reach of K-culture to a broader audience. Eun-hee, Arirang News.
The summer heat wave is not only difficult to bear for people, but also for animals. This means zoos need to take special measures to take care of the animals' health. Let's take a peek.
This silver fox is resting in the shade, panting from the heat. Donkeys also huddle in the shade to avoid the sun's hot rays. A special summer fruit salad helps these animals cope with the heat.
You give the animals a variety of frozen fruits as a special snack, perhaps because of the heat, but they like the fruits better frozen. It's also fun for them because it takes longer for them to eat.
As animals' health is at risk in temperatures exceeding 30 degrees Celsius, they're regularly sprayed with water to help them cool down. The management at Ulsan Grand Park Zoo is trying to keep the animals in good health, making sure their immune systems don't weaken.
We plan to help the animals have a healthy summer by installing awnings, spraying the animal exhibit areas, and providing nutritional foods and frozen snacks.
A record-breaking heat wave has been predicted for this summer. In the middle of such heat, animals are also trying to stay cool.
Rain is forecast in the central parts of the country, inland areas of northern Gyeongsang-Bokdo province, and some areas on the south coast tomorrow. Heavy rain of around 30 millimeters per hour will fall in the Seoul metropolitan area and western Gangwon-do province. In these areas, more than 100 millimeters will fall by Wednesday. The heat continues where the rain is in a lull. The heat wave warning has been expanded to southern Gyeonggi-do province and southern areas of Chungcheong-do provinces. This heat will continue overnight with tropical nights nationwide. Tomorrow, most areas will start the morning at least 24 degrees Celsius. It will move up to 29 in Seoul. Gwangju, Daegu, and Gyeongju will be as hot as 34 degrees. This monsoon rain will continue until Thursday and a heat wave will come back. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for watching. Arirang News will be back at 9 a.m. Korea time.